Hello there and welcome to this introduction to higher education from Royal Holloway, University of London. So in today's session we're going to be covering a bit of information about Royal Holloway and then talking about what is university. We'll then look at the more logistic admin side of going to university and higher education, and then at the benefits as well. And we'll just finish off by looking at realising your potential. Okay, so let's give you some information about Royal Holloway. You can see there on the right a map of the UK and where we are in relation to the rest of the country. So we're in the southeast region. And then on the left you can see a map of our campus university. If you're not sure what that is, a campus university is where all the buildings are in one space. Royal Holloway is a perfect example of that, which would compare to somewhere like Manchester, which is a city university, where all of the buildings for that university are spread out over the city. So you'd have to commute between your lectures and where you're living. So to look at our campus on the left there, you can see that the blue buildings are academic. So that's where you would have lectures, seminars, laboratory work, etc. The purple buildings are accommodation, which is where you would stay if you were to be a student at Royal Holloway. And the red buildings are our social areas that we have on campus, where you would meet friends and socialise. You can see that we're really lucky to have lots of green areas as well on our campus, and we have been voted the UK's most beautiful campus in the past too. So let's give you a bit more information about our university. So as you saw on the map, we are located in Egham, which is in Surrey. We are about 40 minutes to the centre of London by train, so very, very close to the city. We are the top 22nd university in the UK with about 11,000 students on average. We offer over 250 degree courses and over 110 clubs and societies that you could join, and you can see some photos there on the left of that. As you can see as well, we have got a real mix of traditional and modern buildings on our campus. And as I've mentioned, we were awarded the Most Beautiful UK University Award a few years ago. So what is university and higher education? Well, higher education is education that follows school or college, which takes place at a university or any other educational institution. So that could be a college, for example. So it's basically the step after normally A-levels that carries on your education. So a university is an institution of higher education, so a place where you can do higher education, and research which awards academic degrees. So you might have heard of someone coming out with a degree. Universities typically provide undergraduate education and postgraduate education. So undergraduate is when you go in normally at 18, but it can be at any age, and you do your first degree in whatever you choose to do. And then if you decide you want to do more once you've finished after the 3 years or 4 years, you can then go on and do a postgraduate, which is normally called a master's or a PhD. There are approximately 165 universities in the UK and just over 26,000 in the world, so much choice. And just in the UK, there are over 50,000 higher education courses available for you to study. So much choice of what you can study and where as well. Okay, let's have a look now at the university degrees that are available to you. So what can you study at university? Well, we all know these subjects really well from what you can study at school. And if you love them and feel passionate about them, you can definitely go on and study one of these subjects for a university degree too. So for example, you've got history there, and you can definitely go on and study a history degree. Or if you felt really passionate about a particular area within that subject, you could specialise in that area. So for example, you could study ancient history or medieval history. Or for example, with English, you could either just do a plain English degree, keeping it really broad and keeping your options open, or you can focus on, for example, children's literature, creative writing, film studies, media, etc. There's loads of choice. So you could also study, something that you've never had the chance to study before. For example, criminology, architecture, game design, physiotherapy, education, the list is endless. And here are some more examples of less familiar courses that are available at different universities in the UK and in the world. Now, unfortunately, not all of these degrees are available at Royal Holloway, but we do have over 250 courses available to you, and some of them are available at Royal Holloway. As I said, all of these degrees do exist if it's something that you're interested in and you can see yourself, exploring that even more. And even wackier courses exist as well. Things like circus studies, esports, winemaking, Viking studies, they all exist. You just have to do your research. Now, you could also do something which is called joint honours, and that's when you decide to do a degree that is a split between two different subjects. So this is something that I did. I did a 50-50 split of joint honours between English and Spanish, and that's because I loved both of those subjects at school and I wanted to carry on with them both at university. Now, you normally choose subjects for joint honours that complement each other, so they kind of work together very well. But it can also be if you've got a particular focus for your job in mind. For example, economics and politics is always a really good combination, because if people want to go into that, they help each other out to be able to study them alongside each other. So you could do a 50-50 split. Now you can see here, maths and music. That's one of the ones we offer at Royal Holloway. And you can see the ones on the right there as well that we do. It could be anything. There's so many combinations from, criminology and psychology, or Spanish and the history of art, or computer science with management. Yeah, they all complement each other and would be a really, really diverse and interesting mix of a degree. If you didn't want to do 50-50, you could also do something called minor major, and that's when you do the major part of your degree, so that's normally 75%, and then you could do 25% of your degree in another subject as well. Now, I might be wrong in saying this, but I think that sometimes there's a bit of a stereotype that university is just this really expensive thing that only clever people can do, and they go and just sit in a big lecture hall for 3 years of their life. Wrong. This is wrong on so many levels. Firstly, there are so many financial support options available so that every single person has the chance to go to university. It's not just for really rich people. Yeah, there's loans to help you. We'll look at this later, as well as bursaries and scholarships and grants, which is money that's given to you to support you on your way. Now, secondly, it's not just for the most clever people. Yeah, there's a whole range of options, and each university will have their own requirements. And again, we'll look at this a little bit later on. And lastly, university is not just sitting in a lecture hall. You can see some different kind of pictures here of the vocational hands-on subjects that university could lead you into. It's about being inspired and doing something with the knowledge that you gain. And that could be from, a really engaging lecture or an important topic in your subject, or maybe a heated debate in a seminar, or working, more hands-on in a laboratory. Or as you can see here, some of these subjects like nursing, veterinary, dentistry, engineering, physio, medicine, teaching, media, they're much more hands-on, and university can offer amazing opportunities to study both the kind of more vocational subjects and the slightly more traditional ones as well. There's a whole range of different options available to you. Okay, let's look now at the different processes that exist about getting into university. So how do you get into higher education? Well, if you decide you're going to university when you finish school, you apply through a website called UCAS when you're in year 13. And I know this is going to be quite a long way away for some of you, but it's really good to have this information now so you know. So on UCAS, you will be asked to put in your qualifications. And to go to university, you must have something called a level 3 qualification. The traditional route for a level 3 qualification is A-levels, which is what you do after your GCSEs. But that could also be Scottish Highers if you're from Scotland, or there are so many other level 3 qualifications that are equivalent to this. For example, some BTECs and apprenticeships would also class as level 3. So it's not that you have to go to school, do your GCSEs, A-levels and then university. There are lots and lots of other ways to get in as well. And I don't think a lot of people know that actually you can get into university with BTECs from college and apprenticeships as well. All of this information is online. If you look at UCAS qualifications or entry requirements, it's all there if you wanted to have a little bit more of a research into this. Now, every university will have different requirements for what you need to get onto the course, so it is worth checking, as I said. And some universities let you get into their course by calculating the total of your UCAS points. So other courses can count towards your entry too. So it's not just the subjects that you study, but kind of other things that you take on board as well can also count towards the points that might help you get into university. They'll then look at your suitability for that course and university. So what kind of personality do you have? What experience have you got? What interests do you have? And what are your goals, etc. Does it match the course, and would you be a suitable person for this? Now, some courses do require an interview, not all of them, but some of them do. And this might sound quite scary, but actually it's an amazing way to meet your lecturers, the people that you're going to be working with, and just have a little look around your university as well. And finally, some other courses do have their own kind of requirements as well. For instance, if it's a very competitive course like medicine or veterinary, or if you're going to be working with children, for example, in teaching, you will need to get some other kind of certificates as well. What if I don't get the grades? A question I'm very commonly asked. So when you apply to university in the future, you'll apply to courses on UCAS that you think you'll be well suited to. And your teachers will help you with this because they'll give you your predicted grades. So you'll have a really good idea of what, what's best suited for you. And of course, we want you to aim as high as possible and strive for the very best for you. But if something doesn't quite go your way, you make a backup choice on UCAS, which is called your insurance. And that's another university that normally has lower entry requirements. So you've got that kind of safety blanket. There's also UCAS clearing, which comes available once you get your results. And that's basically a company that you call up on the day and say, okay, I didn't quite get what I was expecting. What other places are you? And they'll talk through the best choices that are available for you there. So there's always going to be a backup option to make sure that you can do the degree that you want to do. Equally, lots of universities have got contextual offers that you can see on the right there. And this is a screenshot from the Royal Holloway website where we offer contextual offers. This is for students who come from certain backgrounds who may be eligible to receive a lower grade offer than is normally advertised. So the kind of usual offer would be ABB, for example, to get in for a course at Royal Holloway. If you were eligible for this contextual offer, you would get in, or you would get the offer for ACC instead of ABB. So again, there's that kind of safety blanket that you've got a backup there to support you. But for everybody, there are so many options and support available to you. Okay, how much does it cost? So I'm sure lots of you know that universities are often in the news, and sometimes that's to discuss the costs involved for going to university. And some of you might even have it in your heads that uni is just not for you, and that's completely fine. I'm not going to force you. But what I want to do here is I want to kind of break down the myths about the cost of going to university, because if that's the reason why you don't want to go, I want to help you see that that's, there are ways around it, and there's so much support in place so that everybody can fulfill their dreams and go and carry on their education if they want to. So tuition fees, you might have heard of that before. That's what the course at the university costs. So that's what your degree costs. And the maximum that a university can charge for tuition fees is £9,250 per year. Now, this must sound like quite a lot of money, but don't worry, you're not expected to pay for this, out of your wallet or out of your savings or anything like that. You can get something that's called a tuition fee loan, and that's from the government, and that covers completely the cost of your tuition fee. So you don't have to pay at all for that. You get a loan to cover that. You also then get a maintenance loan, which covers your day-to-day living. So if you decide to go and live away, that can, pay for your accommodation, your food, etc. Now, the amount that you get for these for the maintenance loan, depends on the area where you live. So if you were to come to Royal Holloway, you would get the maximum amount because it's so close to London. And you pay this loan back once you're earning a salary, once you've got a job, and the amount depends on how much you're earning, but it's about £30 a month, which is probably the same kind of amount as you're paying for a phone contract. So it's not too bad. So what are some of the benefits of going to university? So why would you go to university? Let's have a look at some of the benefits. The first is about making new friends, and they will be people that you would never normally have the chance to meet from, all over the UK or even from all over the world. You might make really long-lasting friendships. It's about learning new skills as well, and that's from the degree that you take, the people that you meet, all of the experiences that you have. You'll get the chance to become an expert. Again, that's from the course that you study, and you might even go on and do a postgraduate degree as well, like I said earlier, and become a real expert in that field. Lots of degrees offer the chance to study abroad. Now, this is what I did for my degree. I went to go and live in Spain for a year, and it's just the best experience. Work experience is also a really great opportunity that university offers you. So a careers service might organise some kind of practical work experience for you, or you can do year in industry or placement years, which is where you go and work for a company that's relevant to your degree, and as well the kind of volunteering opportunities that you can get involved with. There's so much that you can do for your own kind of personal experiences and for your CV as well. You might want to live away from home, and that could be going to the opposite side of the country, or it could just be down the road. It's whatever you want to do and the independence that you gain from that. You can join so many different clubs and societies, and the job prospects are much, much better of people that have been to university. So it is worth noting that some jobs obviously do require a degree. So for example, to be, a dentist, you have to have a degree in dentistry, whereas other jobs do just require a degree in general. As I mentioned earlier, another benefit of going to university is the independence that you gain. So you might want to move away from home, you might want to commute, whatever that's going to be. It's managing your kind of budgeting, your time, your workload, money, maybe even learning to cook and clean. It's such an important step, going to university, that you gain so much independence. If you do decide that you want to move away from home, this is the kind of typical university accommodation that you might stay in. So this is a bedroom at Royal Holloway, and this is a very normal room with an ensuite bathroom that you would have, and you would then share a kitchen, normally with about 5 or 6 other people. The social side of university is second to none. So at Royal Holloway, we've got over 110 different clubs and societies that you could get involved with. That's, something you could do, something that you absolutely love, that you've done for your whole life, or you could try something completely new, like, doing your own radio show, or you can see there like Japan Society, Human vs Zombies. There's just so much that you could do. Again, we have so many different sports societies at Royal Holloway. Try something new, become on the team, get on the team of something that you really love. The possibilities are endless. And it's all about having fun as well. So, universities have their own kind of summer balls that you can see here. Lots of kind of live events like music and drama. As I said, creative opportunities as well, with radios, music, etc. Volunteering is a huge part of going to university, and I'd recommend that everyone does a bit of volunteering. Traveling the world, kind of trips with your course. There is so much that you can get involved with. And these are all from Royal Holloway, just to let you know. For some of you, this might feel a little bit far away, so what can you do in the meantime? These are my top tips. Get experience. So someone once told me, all experience is good experience, even if it's a bad experience. Okay? And I think that's a really true statement, that even if you do something and you really don't like it, for example, the time I did abseiling, it's good for your kind of sense of character building to know what you like and what you don't like. So the experience tells you something about your personality. Is this something you can see yourself doing in the future? What are your interests? What are your passions? As much as possible, get experience. Try new things, whether that's work experience, volunteering, trying out clubs after school, taking part in online courses or webinars. Just get as much experience as you possibly can. Get yourself organised, okay? Organisation is the key to success. Keep all of your notes from subjects at school in neat folders or books, keeping it neat. Or if you keep everything online, make sure that everything's really well structured in separate folders, labelled really nicely. Just keep it nice and organised so it's clear to go back to. Make sure, silly things like packing your bags the night before, making sure that you've got enough time for all of your schoolwork versus, your free time, maybe a part-time job when you're a little bit older. Make sure you've got enough time for it. Get revising. It's never too early to go over notes and be prepared. Revision works best long term so that the knowledge is really, really ingrained into your brain. As I said, I used to be a teacher and I used to say to my students, start learning these words now. There's no point cramming it at the end of year 11 because, we do tests so that you can learn it long term instead of just cramming it the night before, so that all of this knowledge goes into the long-term memory in your brain. Okay, so it's stuck there and it's much more kind of concrete and reliable. Start revising now, start looking over your notes now, because it will be useful. Get interested. So the amount of people I think that get to the end of school or university and they don't know what they want to do is a lot of people. But that's okay. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do in your life because things change and you never know what's around the corner. But it is really useful to start trying to find your kind of interests and hobbies. For example, you might, if you found something really interesting in a lesson at school, go home, do some more research, or watch a documentary on it, ask someone their thoughts. Just building up those interests is a really good way to find out more about yourself. You could even be really surprised with the kind of person that you develop into from this. Lastly, I would say get some advice. No one is expecting you to do this on your own. It's a really big decision about what to do with your kind of future. But there's so much help online. The government website is fantastic for that, as is UCAS and lots of other sites as well. But also speak to people, your careers advisor at school or your teachers, family at home, friends. I think a problem shared here is a problem halved, and it's really, really good to get other opinions and people supporting you through that. Just a couple more slides now, and I think this is a really important one. What do these celebrities all have in common, I wonder? Well, they all went to university, and here's what they studied. Kourtney Kardashian studied theatre and Spanish. Jonah Hill did music and sport. Simon Bird did English. Prince William studied geography. Emily Sandé studied neuroscience. And Dan Smith from Bastille studied literature. Now, this is amazing just to see what the celebrities studied and the kind of different paths that they went down, but they all realised their potential. They all knew they had something within them that they felt really passionate about, and they went on to university and studied that in more detail. Maybe even people like Prince William or Kourtney Kardashian didn't necessarily need to go to university, but they had a love for something and they wanted to carry on with that. And who knows how much they use it now, but I hope that it is still prevalent in their lives. I know that Prince William, for example, does a lot of environmental projects that he still uses his degree for. This slide has also kind of got a deeper meaning that you don't need to worry long term about degrees and these kind of big decisions. Now, university is a big commitment and you want to choose something that you love, but don't feel it's going to restrict you just to that one route. For example, my sister has got a history degree. And, lots of people say to her, oh, is that because you want to be a history teacher? No, actually, she now works for the government and she's got, it was an enabling subject to be able to give her those skills, something that she felt really passionate about. And she's now been able to take that into a role where she's using the skills that she learnt from university. Look again at these celebrities and how they've used their degrees. Some have gone in completely different directions. But as I say, some of them are still using their degrees, and probably lots of them wouldn't have been able to get into the jobs that they have now without those degrees. I think a university degree is all about something that you love, something that you feel passionate about, but it's also giving you those transferable and flexible skills that you take away and use in a way that suits you. So just to kind of conclude myself here. As we say, we know that the press is sometimes negative about the value of a degree, but you should consider the positive effects of studying at university, as well as the support that's behind you, like we talked about. The job prospects, graduate wages, the independence you gain, the ability to network and meet new people, the transferable skills that you gain, better job satisfaction for university graduates, studying something that you love, and at least 3 years of fun and new experiences. And as you can see there, just under 85% of first years at university would recommend going to someone who's considering it. Teachers, if you get some time, it would be great if you could have a little look at these videos from Royal Holloway. You can just see a bit of a showcase there of our university and a video from Annie, who is a second year student, who shows you what it's like to be a Royal Holloway